All right, everybody, welcome back to the Squared Circle Action Figure Podcast YouTube channel. Uncensored here today. We're back after a little bit of a hiatus last week, but if you really like what we're doing here on the YouTube channel, obviously you got to hit that thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, and please do comment. And if you're going to be chatting with us today during the live stream, please make sure you just throw your questions out. We want to be interactive. If you have any questions for our guests now, moving forward, you can always just chat with us and we'll get to you. Even if you have questions later on after the live stream's over, this posts right on YouTube, so you get to watch it right then and there. But without further ado, you know where to follow us at SQD Circle AFP on Instagram and Twitter, right here on the Squared Circle Action Figure Podcast YouTube channel. Hit the subscribe button. We got all links everywhere for everything. We're on. We got to do some podcasts here or there. We do it all. So without further ado, though, I want to introduce our guest tonight on the Squared Circle Action Figure Podcast Uncensored. It's none other than Adam of Junk Shop Dog. I call him the JSD of IG, JSD of Instagram. My friend, thank you so much for coming on here. It's a pleasure to have you, and I can't wait to talk Sofubi Pro Wrestling with you.
Oh, you and me both, Will. So absolute pleasure to be here. Always excited to talk about, wrestling figures as a whole. But, obviously talking about our own line, it gets me a little bit even more excited.
I know, and we'll totally get there. I just want to obviously introduce yourself. Where can all of our watchers tonight or, listeners follow you, find you on your social media platforms? Plug it, please, my friend.
Thanks. Well, obviously, where we started was Instagram, so at Junk Shop Dog. We've got the same handle on Twitter, Junk Shop Dog on Facebook, and to actually buy our figures is www.junkshopdog.com.
Yes, and if you didn't hear that, you didn't get it, it's going to be here in the description of this video, so you can check out all those links right down there when this is all said and done, or even right now, possibly. I don't even know how this YouTube thing works, Adam. I'm just learning it, my friend, but it'll be in the description for everybody. Well, how are you doing today? Wow, you have come so far. Initially, I did find you via Instagram through a couple of friends. They said, follow this guy. He's got amazing stuff. He's sourcing from Japan. He's got a lot of this character product stuff, a lot of this exclusive Japanese wrestling figures that you can't find anywhere, basically. And then all of a sudden, that business turns into your own action figure line. Explain to our watchers tonight a little bit about your background. How did it all happen? How did you get across this character product stuff? And, how did you get involved in reselling and then eventually opening up an action figure company, man?
Well, the finding the CaraPro stuff, it started with me trying to complete my a carded Hasbro collection, and basically, looking through all nooks and crannies of the internet, trying to find them, and where I happened upon some sites. Some auction sites and some people in Japan who had Hasbros for some really good prices. Started to dig a little deeper once I'd kind of found those figures that I was after. And I mean, I was aware of the CaraPro figures. I'd picked one up. One of the G.I. Joe style Ligers was actually the first Japanese figure I bought back in 2007 when I first went to Japan, but didn't think much of it until about 2018, 2017 maybe, and just started to grab a couple of these figures, just to check them out and see what they were about, and they were, at that point, most of them were relatively cheap. Through friendships, discussing with people on the internet and joining some Facebook groups, started to realize that people were interested in these figures or finding more out about these figures, which led to us thinking, well, we can we're not trying to make massive amounts of money, but just maybe slightly supplement our own figure addiction by selling off some of these. So from there, the other half of Junk Shop Dog, Portia suggested we get on Instagram and do it. People, that was the kind of trend that people were heading in terms of trying to avoid eBay fees and, getting to more people, and connecting with people rather than it just being behind an eBay wall. And that obviously proved quite successful in terms of the people we met, the figures that we were able to source, and in early, that went for about a year and a half until we decided let's look into making our own figures and seeing if we can give this a go. And obviously by then the Poppy line had really caught our imagination and was something that we thought we could that we could expand on, given that it almost there was so much what could have been about it. And obviously the figure style is something that we love, being inherently Japanese, very simple, but also very appealing to the eye as well. And from there we launched the Bruiser Brody figure in December 2020, and on the back of that being relatively successful in terms, well, we're proud of what we've done so far. And after a very long wait, we're later in February we'll be able to add to that series with Dynamite Kid, Bull Nakano, and Giant Baba.
Yeah, super excited about the new releases. It's a great story. Again, it's what we love to do here is really showcase the passion that you, the fans, that the wrestling figure collectors, that the collectors that have turned their passion and hobby into a business are really doing, and how it all works, and how it's where that passion leads to growth and just prosperity is wonderful. And I applaud you, man. I mean, you've been doing it the right way. Even the stuff I've bought off of you from Japan, it's not overpriced. You do great with the shipping. It always gets here on time. You're a great dude, man. You've hooked me up with some things in the past as well. It's funny you talk about that G.I. Joe Jushin Thunder Liger figure, because we've talked about that in the other podcast episodes at the Squared Circle Action Figure Podcast. You could check them on Podbean, iTunes, some of the past episodes Adam has been on. And I finally found one of those G.I. Joe Jushin Thunder Ligers, and I'm staring at it right now, and it's such a unique and fun figure, because I am a product of the 80s, right? And I grew up with G.I. Joe, and to have a wrestling figure in that size, and to have my Slaughter and the Liger, and now hopefully I can get the Piper one of these days, because it's pressing up there with the money, that would be heaven for me. But yeah, what is it about that Liger that's so catching, you think? I just love that figure, man.
I don't know. I think, yeah, I guess it's different, but it's recognizable. As you kind of summed it up with that G.I. Joe style, but it's still so Japanese by virtue of being Liger. And it's a great line overall. They only did 2 series, so it's a relatively easy set to collect in comparison to some others, both in terms of availability and price. And there are some other really good figures in there. The Tiger Mask looks fantastic. The Inoki, the Riki Choshu, the Muta, they're eye-catching figures. And I guess there's nothing really of that scale in wrestling figures. They are quite small, and it's just a unique set.
I agree that 3 3/4 scale with the amount of articulation is pretty incredible. And like you said, you don't really have it in any other wrestling figures. I mean, you have some modern day companies doing, I guess you can consider these loyal subjects like 2 1/2, 3/4 figures, but they're not the same. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't have that old body style. They're more cartoonish in their just their aesthetic. So yeah, totally. I agree with you on that. But getting back to Junk Shop Dogs, so I love the fact that you said easy to collect, and I love the fact that you said small line, because so you're doing all of this collecting yourself. You're really into the Japanese end of it and in that niche area, and you come across the Popey figures in Japan, and we're talking about, you talk about small series. This was a small series, right, Adam? I mean, there's only about what 6 to 8 figures available of the first series.
There's 10.
Oh, 10. Okay.
So, geez, you're testing my memory here, but
you know, you're the historian here, man.
I'll always forget one. But Dory, Terry, Hulk Hogan, Harley Race, Andre the Giant, Antonio Inoki, Mil Mascaras, Abdullah the Butcher, Stan Hansen, and I'm kicking myself for forgetting the other one. But yeah, only a series of 10 initially released in 1981.
And that was 1981, 10 figures. And the aftermarket price for some of these figures now are pretty high. I mean, they're really, really getting up there.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I even know that I had recently seen on your Instagram that you had come across another Stan Hansen. I'm actually pulling it up here in our browser so everybody can see the older style and how it compares to what we're going to show you your figures today. So, yeah, I mean, you know, $200. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, well, wrestling figures, the prices are going crazy through the roof regardless. But so tell me a little bit about this then. You love these figures. You collect these figures. You're like, I'm going to do these figures. What is the whole mission behind the Junk Shop Dog extending this series and beyond? Do you see it as a natural extension? Is it going to be more focused than on people that were wrestling during this era, or is it going to be all over the place? What is your kind of like focus on Junk Shop Dog Safubi Pro Wrestling figures?
I think we've only tried to have one qualifier to the set, and that is we want to capture that wrestler as they looked when they wrestled in Japan. So if they've had one match in Japan, then we're certainly more than happy to do a figure of them, and we'd prefer to do them in a style that's most identifiable with their Japanese careers. So, say for example, we've got a sample here of Dynamite Kid. So probably not the way that people recognize him from his WWF days, in the sense that there's the shaved head, there's the navy tights with no mention of the British Bulldogs, and that's simply because it was pre-British Bulldogs days. So yeah, I think it's offering something that's a little bit different, and you'll see yeah, just trying to it's probably going to be more evident in some figures that we haven't announced yet, and that I can't hint too much at, but capturing these unique looks of people as they were in Japan.
Okay. Yep. So you're going to have that just iconic Japanese look for the wrestlers you are signing to the line. And we have it right here. So you had said it just quickly, because we are talking about what has been announced so far. So you have Bull Nakano and the Dynamite Kid. They're going to be coming up, you said, around February. I see you've been giving us wonderful updates, which is also fun. I love this because you're giving the information to the people, and it's information we like. I want to know what's coming up. I want to know when it's going to drop, or an estimated time of drop, you know? So you have Bull Nakano, Dynamite Kid in February, and then I see you got the Funker here and the Road Wars. Are they going to be the next? Are we going to see 2 at a time, 3 at a time? How's this all going to work?
That's a bit of a tricky one, because look, I can guarantee that Terry and Tenryu will be next. What I'd like to say is that the Road Warriors will be with them, but obviously that's dependent, on production time, and how close together the completion of production is. Obviously, the Road Warriors have got a lot more deco. So, if we're talking months longer, then obviously we'll get Terry and Tenry out as quickly as we can. If it's a couple of weeks apart and we can freight them together from China, well then we'll do that. But ultimately we just don't want to leave people hanging for too long. I know we announced Terry about almost a year ago, so we don't want to leave people hanging for any longer than we already have, and that's part of why we try to update, even if these aren't firm dates. We're just trying to give people as much of an idea as we have, and just keep them updated, because we do understand that that some of these waiting periods have been really lengthy, and we appreciate everyone for being so patient.
Yeah, and I think people just need to realize that you have to be patient, especially with smaller toy companies. I mean, the big guys can't even get it right because of all the supply chain issues that are going around throughout the world. And just even, it's really a barrier to communication. You're not at the factories, you're not visiting these things. You have to, sometimes you're on off times and whatnot, and that could delay things 24 hours or 2 days, depending on weekends and such. So I think everybody's got to be patient. I'm patient. I love it. I don't mind whether it's Super 7U, Zombie. I know you guys are going to put out great quality products, and I would rather you guys take your time, get it right. Make sure you make sure you have your QA/QC down. You avoid the duds, all this stuff. So when we get the product in hand, we get excited. It's beautiful. I mean, I'm holding this Bruiser Brody right now. This thing is amazing. The paint is beautiful on it. There's no nicks. It's well detailed. I absolutely love the different paint tones that you're using on some of the areas around the pads and whatnot. I absolutely love the cow kind of hide on the boots here, and then it's just an amazing figure. It's beautiful. It's basically a two POA, right? So you got the movable arms here, which is great. And as you can see, I mean, these scale, I mean, this is a bendy, this is what you're looking at, guys. I mean, if you guys know the WWF Bendums and the bendies that are out, they're a little bit bigger than a Bendum, really. That's what I wanted to give a really good comparison here. And then, I got to just, for all you out here, I got a BCA here. This is the kind of scale, a little bit shorter than a Jim Cornette, but these are just beautifully well-crafted figures. And I don't think it's a problem, Adam. Like, it's fine. We'll wait.
Thanks.
I understand for you want to sell them though as well. So, I'm sure your sales of the first were successful if we're going to see all these figures down the road.
Yeah, and that's kind of why there was such a long wait between the first and the second release. Amongst other, there's always problems behind the scenes with production issues and all that kind of thing. But ultimately, we were dipping our toe in the water with the first figure. We didn't know whether collectors would take to it like they did, and there's always an element of risk. But now that we've got a good grasp of who's interested, and in terms of quantities and everything, that we've really scrambled behind the scenes, both in terms of what we have announced and what we haven't announced, which, without trying to give too much away, I feel like we've got just as much unannounced as we have announced. So we're really, really scrambling away to make sure that there's never that 12-month gap or 12-month plus gap ever again.
Yeah, and it's crazy. So even some of the surprise announcements that I saw here, I mean, I absolutely love this. I absolutely love Jonah. I mean, I think that's a fun, newer guy that, I mean, where his influences come from. He's a Bam Bam guy, and I think it's great. Series 3, I think this is great. A fellow Aussie guy, you both are from Australia, which is so fun. So I think you're going to do him real justice, and that's going to be a really big, awesome thing. I love the digital render here. I mean, you hit. This is what I love about your figures too, man. You hit the body molds perfect. It looks like him, like this. This is where, and look, I'm not getting down on companies or anything. This body mold, it does not fit Earthquake. This does not look like Earthquake. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just not, to me at least, very much. Like I know Earthquake, I know John Tenta. Speaking of a NJPW guy, speaking of a guy that worked in Japan, I would love to see a John Tenta, but I digress. You look at this Jonah, formerly Bronson Reed. It's amazing. Great job on this digital render, man. It looks great.
Thanks. And look, yeah, I guess the beauty of our production process is we can go back and forth and we can make those changes, and because this is we're working on one style and one figure line, it does give us the ability to go down to quite finite details, and hopefully that shows and shines through in the finished product.
Most definitely, most definitely. So all right. Again, we don't really have, releases will come in as they come in due to, like you said, the scrambling and whatnot, just for all the watchers and listeners that didn't hear prior to this. So just be patient. As far as series 2, it's safe to say, obviously we have the Brody, and yes, this is the limited edition. We'll get to that in a second. I just wanted to throw that up there. Is Nakano and then Kid going to be in 2 as well? Are you considering them a part of 2, or are they 3?
No. So everything that you've got displayed up there,
yep,
we consider series 2.
Okay. Wonderful.
And so we'd like to keep it in lots of 10, much like the original series by Poppy. And then so series 3, all that we've announced so far is Jonah and Davey Boy Smith.
Okay, awesome. So that's great knowledge too. I didn't know that. And so what you're looking at here on the screen, guys, is all series 2. You're going to get 10 figures per series, and then they're going to be released throughout the year or the years or whatever. So do you think you'll get all of these out by the end of 2022? Is that the goal?
Absolutely. We'd be quite disappointed if they weren't. But that's without making any promises. But by the same token, I kind of feel like at least Davey is in a similar spot in terms of the production process as First Tiger Mask and Great Sasuke. So don't be surprised if you see, if not a little bit of overlap, maybe late series figures coming out the same time as earlier following series.
That's cool. Okay. Yeah. And that happens. Sometimes one will be pushed over. I know companies that happens with all the time, just because it's, it's just the way things are. And for this, I love this Davey Boy is awesome. I absolutely love the trunks here. I love the color that you're using on there. It looks great. And I'm assuming this is a painted prototype, or?
Yep.
That's awesome. Blue Lightning look. Love it. And, really quickly then, getting back to the lineup. So we got series 2, 10, series 3, Davey Boy and Jonah has been announced. And then in these series, now I wanted to ask you and get to this a little bit back because I flashed this. You're doing these awesome, fun, collectible variants, I guess you could call them, of the figure. This is obviously the silver chain Bruiser Brody here that I have on the screen, and I absolutely love this just because it's so fun. He came to the ring with the chain link all the time, and to kind of commemorate him in that, I thought was super, super fun. Will we see this with every figure, or will this just be variable based on what you think, where a variant is required?
Well, I can show you one thing. We have got Dynamite Kid.
Awesome.
Which will be produced in the same numbers as the Brody. So there's 220 made of these, 200 for sale.
Beautiful. So it's got the little bit more of the star design on there with the mustard and red look, right?
Yeah, so a little bit later than the initial one, the initial navy we showed. It's what he wore in a couple of his WWF junior title defenses in Japan. We have announced, and so it's no secret that we will be doing a 1 of 110 Terry in the first series. I can't say too much. We'd really like to be able to show the sample before we tell you how it's a variant. But I kind of think that, and the other thing is what we haven't really discussed on our Instagram, because we haven't seen any pictures of them on sale, but the Giant Baba team in Japan also has some color variants of Giant Baba. So there's a blue, a green, and a purple trunk version, but we weren't going to limit that by number because it's based on their demand and how many we end up making ultimately, rather than just in the first run. So that may stay a Japan exclusive, depending on the wishes of Giant Baba's family and the company that sells the figures. But they may, if you look hard enough, hopefully they'll be available on the Giant Baba merch website through a proxy in Japan soon enough, and we'll discuss trying to get those out to Western collectors as well. But I don't know if we'll be numbering them. But that's about as far as we've thought, and that may well see the end of our variant figures.
Okay.
We're just happy working on just basic styles and I mean also being able to offer those variant styles in not limited numbers, if you know what I mean. So
Yep.
having them in a way that people can get them more readily.
Yeah, and it makes sense. Like if you were to sell a bunch to, let's say, Big Bad Toy Store, let's say here in the West, like yeah, you have the Big Bad Toy Store exclusive, or a hot, like I know you do it with Hao Ming in Japan. So I mean, you can go right now
Yep.
and you can buy a beautiful special commemorative like shirt, and you get the figure of the Bull Nakano, and you get her shirt and all this stuff, and it comes in a really nice package. So I think that's wonderful because you do some of that stuff. I mean, you could even see on your website you've had pins for sale. You're wearing your Bruzy Brody. Jeez, can I speak tonight? Bruiser Brody hat, right there with the King Kong, and so you're in this realm of making these fun packages available for people and collectors, and they can be, like you said, either store exclusives or even country exclusive, location exclusive. So that's fun.
Yeah, and it. I mean, the root of having the Brody merch was basically trying to give people something, because we get it. We understand that postage from Australia is not cheap, and we wanted to give people some kind of bang for their buck. And whilst we're continuing, I'll just kind of stand up a little bit. We've got a Bull t-shirt that will be available, and spoiler alert, if you hold it up to the light and then take it into the dark, it glows blue. So we feel like that's something.
Man, that's fun. I'm gonna have to get one. I'm a big glow in the dark fan. Like I got I got that Undertaker glow in the dark from the Unmatched Fury line. I got the King. Remember the figures incorporated King Kong Bundy? They did the whole glow in the dark line.
Yep.
I got that.
Yep.
I love that stuff. So I don't know. If my girlfriend's watching, please, I won't spend too much money. But that's exciting and that's fun. I love that stuff. And so getting back to the Terry Funk, maybe a blood variant, maybe.
Oh, that's a good guess.
I mean, I would go ape over it just because I'm a big Funker fan, and I'm gonna need two of those. But anyway, so that's fun. Really quickly too, working with the talent. I don't think people know this, and maybe some do and some don't. But I think you were the first guy really when you reached out to Brody's family and the Goodish family. You were the first guy that was like, okay, I'm gonna contract you, and you are getting royalties from these figure sales, and I think that's important. I think that the families or the estates of these wrestlers, that they get a piece of the pie, because that's the way it should be, right? You're doing it legitimately. You're not just using their likeness, using their name, not giving them any money, et cetera, et cetera, So I love that you were really the first person in this wrestling figure collecting, smaller business scene that did that, man. And I got to give you a lot of credit. I mean, I absolutely love that style of business.
Oh, look, thank you. I'm not sure if we're the first, and we're certainly not the last. And I think it's just giving them, the families, what's rightfully theirs. Look, and we don't want anything to bring this figure line unstuck as well. So, outside of, morals, we just want to, keep our backside safe. But I will say the friendships that we've made through these discussions, it becomes a lot less business-like and a lot more friendship-based. I'll say that. And obviously, particularly with the Japan figures, we work with Hao Ming to secure these licenses, and there's a myriad of ways that we've done all of these discussions, but I will say, yeah, we're really happy with the way that we've gone about discussing these with families. Everyone that we do one-to-one is a friend now, and that's a really special part of what we've done in the journey, and I think it's a really, really pleasant surprise, and yeah, you never know when this whole world opens up. It'd be good to actually meet some of these people in person as well.
Yeah, I know, and that's when is it going to happen? We don't even know. Hopefully soon. Let's just put it that way. Hopefully soon. And we're all crossing our fingers. And yeah, that's great. I look, like I said, I think it's an amazing job as far as what you're doing there with the Funker as well. What are your thoughts there? How's Terry doing? He looks like he's in good spirits. I've heard good things from other people. I'm assuming he's doing well, right? I mean, I don't want you to, I don't want you to give up too much, but I'm assuming he's doing well, right?
Yeah, I mean, by all accounts, he's managing pretty well.
Good.
And he he's a pretty old dude now, but all back and forth that we've had with him through other people and with him, yeah, he's still Terry.
Yeah. Yeah, he seems like it, and he's got that fire. And from what I hear, either with Tommy Dreamer, or you see the posts on social media, and even from what you say, I mean, look, he's confident in your abilities to produce these figures well of him, and he's allowing you to do it. And some of these names are incredible. You even got the Road Warriors up here, which are amazing. I mean, really, you can't give away your secrets, obviously, but great lineup, man. Some great names here.
Look. Thank you. We're really proud of what we've managed to achieve. But by the same token, we're equally as proud as what we've got. That hopefully we'll be able to spill our guts the whole way through 2022 in terms of what we've got for the next series and series after that. So it's one of those things where it's great. To high five ourselves, but by the same token, we don't ever want to have these, delays between series that I mentioned earlier. So, we're still on the chase.
Yeah, and guys, just again, be patient. Junk Shop Dog is not going to do pre-orders. All right. So to my knowledge, maybe if he's working or they're working with another like company like Hao Ming or something, there may be a pre-order process there through something, so a retailer like that. But direct through Junk Shop Dog, you were telling me and explaining to me before we went on air, you don't want to do that because you literally, every figure or most of every figure that goes out, you want to look at it. You want to make sure that you're giving a good product to the customer. You want to make sure that there's no paint loss or anything like that. And, I think that's great. That's a testament to just your ability to provide a quality product and make sure you have the right QA, QC practices in place.
Yeah, well, that's just how we do things. We just don't want to be caught with our pants down when the figures arrive. And look, being totally honest, the first lot of Brodies we received, yes, there was some figures that would not pass QC in our eyes. So it's just we want to be able to look at every figure and say, hey, I would have this in my collection. So, there's no reason why we wouldn't put it in yours. No, yeah, I mean, yeah, that and that's no, certainly no knock on any other way of doing things, but that's just how we wish to do it, and it's worked so far for us, and hopefully it'll continue to do so.
Yeah, awesome. And I think that's the way to go, man. So these will be available as they come in. Again, February release on the next two. So, keep an eye on Junk Shop Dog's Instagram. Really quickly, I did want to talk about packaging. I love the packaging. I love that it's a carryover from Series 1. The Popies, similar design. And I know that you probably want to plug the artist that is doing the packaging with you. And most of wrestling figure collectors or people that are in this industry may even know this gentleman. So great packaging design. And I did see actually really quickly as well on the Dynamite Kid packaging that it does look like there's a little bit of a different thing down in this area where it could maybe be a little bit more sturdy, which is great. I think you're probably working through that, maybe for display purposes and stuff for mid-on-card collectors. So to start, love the artwork. Who did your artwork for these cards? And is it going to stay this way moving forward? And then two, changes in packaging and whatnot. I see that you did do a little change here in the Dynamite Kid.
Yeah. Well, firstly, John Lucas Reyes does our card designs. Fellow Aussie-based artist. So and he works, with a multitude of he works with Zombie Sailor with his carding. He works with, a stack of wrestlers and podcasts and doing their logos and their artwork. So he's obviously not only well experienced, but you can see in the finished product how good it looks. So we're really thrilled to have him on board, and he's really invested in what we do. He's really helpful, and he's invested in the product as well, which really helps. In terms of the packaging, there was a little bit of feedback, and if I recall correctly, I think you might have mentioned it a while back as well, Will, about trying to get these to stand up. We are working on it. We didn't want to delay the figure release any further to really, we didn't want to work on it to the point where it's going to delay figures, put simply, but we are working on evolving even just the bottom of that bubble to be able to be more freestanding. And we kind of feel like even those little tweaks will help just a little bit. I mean, if you want to have it freestanding in your display, well, hopefully we've solved that. And if it is a little, not so freestanding, we'll continue to work on that until it's, at a point where we're happy.
Yeah, and I think the most important thing right now is to get the figures out, like you said, and then you'll make the tweaks here and there as the line progresses, and just even with the figures. I mean, I know that's a possibility too. I mean, I know you're going to stick to the format, but who knows? I mean, there may be better playing apps that come up. There may be better whatever it is. I was going to actually ask you really quickly. Going off on a tangent, could we ever see accessories for any of these figures? I know, with some of the names you've released, could there be an actual accessory included, or do you think you would just want to stick with that original kind of look? And I don't believe Series 1 Popies had any of the any accessories, correct?
Not outside of the trading card.
Yep.
But I'm not saying no. I think it, as part of the evolution of the line, I think it's something that is likely to happen a little further down the series. But I think I can safely say there won't be any accessories in the series coming out as we speak, Series 2, nor Series 3.
Okay.
Not sure about Series 4, as we're only a small way into working out names and styles.
Okay, excellent. Last thing, card-wise, it's beautiful. Would you ever do anything on the back of the card, or is that going to change? Are you going to have any the wrestlers, the series, or anything like that, or you think it's just going to be blank?
Never say never. There's no plans to do so. We're happy with the back as it is, and for those that don't know, the reason why the back of that is like the way it is the original poppies were like that. There was no back, there was no graphics on the back, and we wanted to stay true to that initially. I think it's not something that we've discussed at this point. Put it that way.
Yeah, and I knew that was the reason that the original ones were like that too. And I mean, you could see a lot, even 80s, 90s, you had a lot of bootleg stuff, even a lot of other stuff that came out of China that just had that blank back. I mean, there was nothing on it. That's how you got your figure. Everything was on the front, and then that's the way you go. It doesn't deter from it at all for me. I mean, I absolutely love the slip cover here. I think it's great. It allows you to take the figure out like I have here. I can display it, I can show it off, and then I can put it back in, and it's protected. I absolutely love that as well. So wonderful. I mean, yeah, we went through the carding, we went through the figures, we went through the lineups, which is amazing. Do you? So you said you have, obviously you have 10. Bull Nakano's coming out. I absolutely love the fact that you did her, and that just, I mean, the look is amazing. And again, when you talk about just realism right here in the body, I mean, this looks like Bull Nakano, this body. It is incredible. I think you did a great job there. And so guys, check that out for February. Again, February drop. Who knows, maybe March, but be patient. Let me ask you this. Could you reveal anything to anyone of our listeners on the live stream? And before we do that, I do want to give a big shout out. Travis Lyons, he's been here with us. He loves and respects Terry Funk. Him and McFoley's death matches were into, got me into pro wrestling. They got me into pro wrestling. I mean, I watched those Japanese death matches on VHS growing up, and that's what made me a huge Terry Funk and Cactus Jack fan. I'm pretty sure you're the same, right, Adam? I mean, growing up, we're watching this thing nonstop, right?
Yeah, it's probably your first or my first exposure to Terry outside of America, but thankfully through the wonders of tape trading, DVDs, and YouTube, we get to see all those wonderful matches he had, in the late 70s and 80s with All Japan. And yeah, that's definitely where my heart lies. And as you can probably see through the initial Terry that we've put out, that we really love that, the Funks and world champion Terry, and retirement Terry, and yeah, that's and that is around. I know it's a couple of years after the initial Poppy release, but it's really, that of a similar time frame.
Yeah, definitely. And it's just amazing. I mean, look, I grew up, seeing him in those matches, and then watching him just really, I mean, be a stalwart for ECW. Go in there in his later age in the mid 90s and be the champion and really propel that company, take them to the next level. I thought was amazing on his part. He did such an incredible job there, and this is the prototype revealed of the Funker right here. It's amazing. I absolutely love this figure. I mean, how don't you love this? It's simple. He's got the taped wrists and hands. It's so good, guys. And then up there, he's bleeding. He's wrestling against Stan Hansen. Amazing. And really quickly, so getting back to what I wanted to originally discuss, could you give us any more reveals? I mean, what can you say? Can you say that you're going to maybe reveal something soon so people can check back on your Instagram? I don't know how you want to play it, Adam. I mean, really, it's all you. It's all you.
Look, I'll give you a few hints. So we'll definitely have a reveal by, if not on release day of the next figures.
Okay.
They may have had quite a rivalry with one of the figures we're releasing.
Okay.
You will likely see a very different look for one of the figures that we've put in Series 2. They'll reappear in Series 3, but looking quite different.
Okay.
that's probably about as much as I can give away now. That I can confidently say will be there, and that things are in the works. But
yeah,
I'm pretty confident that what we have lined up for the next series is, in terms of name value, both in Japan and the West, is just as exciting as the first. And I think we've got some real whoppers. If not in that series, then in the series following.
That's awesome. And so there you go, guys. You got, so far, series 3, you got 2 reveals, right? So you know that the Jonah's going to be in there, and then you know that the Davey Boy, and he'll be in series 3, but he may be released this year. And then one of the figures in series 2, you have all appear in front of you: Brody, Nakano, Kid, Funk, the Road Warriors, Tenru, Baba, Tiger Mask, Sasuke. One of those will have a redo in series 3. That's awesome. So that's good announcement. So you got a little teaser there. So you're getting somebody else with a repaint or a very different look. Adam's saying. So that's fun. Thank you so much for that, Adam. Dude, absolutely love the line. I cannot praise it enough. I think it's amazing. I can't wait to get more figures in February, obviously. I think it's just such a fun line. I absolutely love that you're reinvigorating this, and that you're also continuing the legacy for these wrestlers in Japan. I think it's super fun, And with that said, what are you collecting now, man? I had somebody in the chat here just say, did you see Danhausen go to AEW last night? And yes, I did, and I have my thoughts on it. Did you see it? Are you watching AEW? What are you collecting now, my friend? What do you think of the Danhausen thing?
Oh, I mean, he's quite a character. He's very funny, and what can't be underestimated, and this is just my opinion, is he's got a great connection with fans. People love him. Whether you think he's, funny, or, you identify with his, wacky gimmick. I mean, people love him. And people that don't know him will watch a video and think, hey, I love this guy. So, hey, if you can win people over that easily, well, mate, hey, the sky's the limit. But in terms of what we watch at home, the product we primarily watch is New Japan. Obviously, with Japanese wrestling being so close to our hearts, and just a smattering of whatever's being discussed, or whatever has a match that takes our eye, or and we who doesn't love watching? You talked about the legacy of these wrestlers, being able to watch, particularly All Japan, the amount of great 1980s All Japan matches on YouTube is just phenomenal. So, I urge anyone who has a vague interest in particularly, real competitive, physical kind of wrestling to check these guys out, because some of those matches are just, they're amazing, and you see American wrestlers in a different light, and, just the way the crowd reaction builds as they, they themselves get into the match, and the foot stomping, and, it's a whole new world of wrestling, particularly for those who haven't had a chance to watch it. So I strongly encourage it, and hopefully, in some small way we can contribute to continuing those respective legacies.
Yeah, and well, getting back first to Danhausen, I think you're right. The guy's over, right? He's getting over. Now, I particularly don't like the stick. I don't know what to say. I want to see his body of work. I want, because there's not much out there except for some social media stuff, and then his time in ROH. I haven't really seen much of that because that wasn't available to me, or readily available or easily available. And then there's so much product to consume on your second point. I mean, geez, we're going into Rumble season. We all probably grow up watching WWF in some way, shape, or form, right? I mean, whether you're overseas or here. I mean, it was the major wrestling organization back in the day. So yes, there's so much to consume out there, and you should, if you are newer to wrestling, or you're a little younger, we're old men right now. At least I am. Go back and watch older wrestling because it is different, and especially the Japan stuff, the All Japan. Even the old WWF, the stories that they tell in the ring. And, they're not jumping off of raining aprons here and there all the time. And sometimes they do and sometimes they don't. But the stories they're telling in the ring are very special. And like you said, whether it be the footstops or the crowd reactions and the build to things, I think it's really important to understand the foundation of professional wrestling and where it's come from and where it is today, and I think you all should go check some of that out. I'm collecting everything right now, which I shouldn't be. Like, I just got these AEW figures, which are really cool. What do you collect? Do you collect any modern? I know you've told me in the past you get some stuff from Ringside. Excuse me. Yeah, I mean, what are you collecting right now, wrestling figure wise, other than your own stuff and Japan stuff and whatnot?
I'd say that the thing we collect the most is probably just elites of classic guys. Finishing off that Masters of the Universe collection, and excited for what for these new retros that Hasbro is going to put out. Mattel's going to put out. They look great, and obviously Orton and Piper and Mean Gene, they appeal to me. So that they've done a great job in that regard.
Yeah, I love the reintroduction of the retros, and I think they went classic, right? 80s guys. You have the Mean Gene, the Piper, the Orton. Who else is in that series?
Mr. T.
Mr. T. That's it. I mean, you can't get any more iconic, WrestleMania 2 and whatnot. I mean, it's just, it's a great reintroduction. Let's hope that they garner enough pre-orders to continue this. And we'll go from there. I really would like to see them get more into some of, again, those 90s guys that may be under the license or under WWE Legends deal under contract from 90 to 94 that maybe weren't made or just prior to that or a little bit after that. And I'd love for them to focus on more of the Attitude Era. I think that would be extremely fun, Yeah,
look, Mattel does a great job in giving us a lot of those figures. So they appeal to such a wide audience. So they do a great job. And look, there's a lot of, independent companies, kind of filling those gaps as well. Cella and Zombie, that, everyone's, it's such a great time to be a collector. And obviously, the AEW figures, they've done some great work there as well. So, hey, what a time to be a collector. And I just remembered that Poppy that I forgot was Bob Backlund to make the set of 10.
That is the Backlund. There you go.
Bob Backlund.
Oh, man. That's funny. I just actually had his Mattel Elite out the other day. I was looking it over, and I was like, I don't know. I was like, I really like this figure. I have two of them. Should I sell one? Shouldn't I? It's a great figure, I mean, I love it, especially during his 90s run. I think that was iconic when he beat Bret Hart and everything. He did some of his best work then, and then prior, obviously. But maybe a Backlund will come again in your line. Who knows? I that's what I was going to ask you, actually. Are you going to recreate any of the original figures, let's just say, like verbatim? Would you ever do anything like that, or do you want to have them stay traditional and have maintain their value and all those things as well?
Look, I don't think we can do, and it's not a copyright or a patent issue. It's just, you're not going to be able to take a 40-year-old figure and make it exactly verbatim. Yep. I think Terry is somewhat close. And look, full disclosure, the Terry that we've made is a slightly different scale to the Poppy. And the reason for that is we wanted to keep them. So we made Brody at a certain height, and our desire is to keep them at a scale that all works relative to that Brody. So some will be slightly different to the wrestlers. Like you've got Barbara up there, for example. So believe it or not, there wasn't that much of a height difference between the two, but our Barber is slightly taller than Brody.
Yep.
In terms of the initial question, will there be ones that are done in the style of the original? Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Okay. So that's fun to know too, because look, I mean, some of these things, they're expensive. I mean, I don't know if you could do Hulk Hogan per se, but you're looking at $200, $300, $400, $1,000. And if you could get the license to do some of those IPs and make it available now in your form to people that may not be able to get these things because they're incredibly rare, personally, I don't think that reduces the value of what previously is in the marketplace. And I think it brings more attention to it, if anything, because then people may want to get yours and then eventually save up to get the original, I mean, and that's awesome,
Yeah, and that's the point exactly. We don't want to make it exactly the same to the point where people are mistaking one for the other.
Yep.
I'm not sure that would be entirely possible anyway. But yes, the ones that are on the rarer side, it'd be nice to be able to do something very similar, similar enough that people can say, people that can't afford, because let's be honest, poppies are getting out of control in terms of their prices as people become more aware of them. But to be able to say, all right, well, I'm comfortable having this in my collection instead, or at least until I can afford it. And even with Terry, yeah, we didn't initially want to be making figures exactly the same, but we wanted all of the hallmarks of the initial Terry, but with a point of difference. So, he's obviously of a similar era. He's got the texture on his chest that's spray painted instead of just having spray painted hair. It does have a texture like the original poppies, but yeah, we wanted to offer a point of difference. And I think in each example, and the ones where we are at the stage where we're looking at making figures that are very similar to the original Series 1 figures, they'll be different enough that it's something different for those who have both, and something similar enough that it can be a placeholder for those, or a in lieu of that $1,000 figure, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. So that's awesome. I absolutely love it. That's great news as well. So, man, Adam, thank you so much. Please tell everybody again, where can you find these? Please tell a little bit about the release dates again, just so people are, know, and obviously you'll have all this on your social media platforms and whatnot, but please tell everybody.
Well, I think, as I said at the start, our primary method of conveying releases or news is through our Instagram at JunkShopDog. To buy the figures, we've only got the silver limited figures on sale at the moment. Such was the success of the standard figure, but that's at www.junkshopdog.com, Twitter JunkShopDog, Facebook JunkShopDog. Drop us a DM if you want to know anything else. But I guess in terms of the releases, so we've got Ball, we've got Dynamite, we've got Giant Barber, and we've got a second shipment of Brody. It's somewhere between China and Australia now on the sea. So we are still fairly confident that it'll make it in time for a February release. But do beware that basically as soon as we've got them, we want to be able to put them up for sale because we don't want to delay any further. We're hoping for a probably May for Tenru, Terry, and ideally the Road Warriors, but hard to say until they're actually on the boat.
Okay.
And then Sasuke and First Tiger Mask are likely going to be mid-year, ideally with Davey Boy Smith as well, and possibly Jonah.
Beautiful. Awesome. That's great info for everybody out there that want to grab these figures. Again, Adam, thank you so much for coming on the Squared Circle Action Figure Podcast YouTube channel, Uncensored here. It's always a pleasure to talk wrestling figures with you. Pro Wrestling, and obviously Sofubi Pro Wrestling via Junk Shop. Dog, man, thank you so much for coming on.
Anytime, mate.
Yeah, and you know what, guys? Look, this is what we're going to do. We're going to actually have producers of wrestling figures, aficionados, collectors on the channel. If you are interested in coming on, let us know. Hit me up in the DMs. We want to showcase everybody's products here and make sure that you have the proper information. So Adam will be back. He'll be back. He'll give you updates. We'll have him back on the channel later this year, hopefully, maybe after some figure announcements as well. Maybe after we get some figures in hand. And that's it. So guys, don't remember, if you like what you're seeing, you want to follow Adam, you want to follow me, everything is in the description. All that is in the links below. You definitely want to hit that thumbs up. That helps our content on the channel. You want to hit the subscribe button. That also helps us. You can follow us everywhere on all social media platforms. The Squared Circle Action Figure Podcast at SQD Circle AFP. I know the podcast end of things is a little in limbo. We're going to have our shop up and running too, where we're going to be selling wrestling figure bodyguards, which is awesome. We got the retros in the works right now. They're on the boat. We have the AW figure bodyguards as well on the boat. They'll be hopefully arriving here in February. And even as Adam is saying with his figures, delays. I was supposed to get these things on the 31st docking. Now it's bumped up a week to the 6th. Who knows? In a few days, it could be bumped up another week. And this is coming in through New York, guys. This isn't even LA. So, it's crazy out there with the supply chain. Please be patient with us and everybody else out here who's trying to get you awesome products. And don't forget, everybody, remember, the Squared Circle Action Figure Podcast is the gold standard in wrestling figure collecting. See you all later.